Hello and welcome to Rules for Your TESOL or TEFL Classroom by UNI-Prep. My name is Jonathan, and I'm excited about this lesson because rules on the outside seem dull and kind of dreary, but in reality, they are one of the most essential parts of running a good classroom. So if you can use rules in an effective way, your students are going to feel the benefits, and so are you while you're teaching your class. So the first thing we're going to talk about are why rules are so important. The big thing they do is let you have order in your classroom. An orderly class is an efficient class because you can get through a lot of things, give your students a lot of time to interact with one another, and get through the busy work a lot easier. It also is going to help you be an objective teacher because if you have rules and you enforce them, you're not being subjective and targeting students. You're being fair and you're keeping the environment positive. You have to work with the rules that are in the classroom to make it a good class. Finally, while rules are important, you don't want to be an authoritarian figure simply because that kind of presence is going to stifle communication, and English communication is an essential part about being an ESL teacher. One of the best practices for making your rule is to include students in the formation of those rules. Now, this is really important if you have children and adolescents, because if you include them in this formation of rules, they're going to be more likely to follow them. That does not mean that your students are going to pick whatever rules they want in that class. That is not what I'm saying. But if you can include them into creating other rules in the classroom, it'll be a really positive experience and it will help build rapport with them as well. So I want you to think about 2 rules that would be non-negotiable that are super important for your classroom. So take a minute and think about this. So 2 rules that you should really consider are English only and be kind. English only is obvious because this is the reason they are there. They want to use English as much as possible, and that should be a rule in your classroom. Be kind is a nice rule because it covers a lot of different things, and if you have students that are kind to each other, you'll find that your class is just a lot more enjoyable to be in. Now, what makes a good rule? Good rules are simple, they're posted in the classroom, they are reiterated repeatedly, which means you say them all the time so that it's really obvious to the students what they are and what the consequences are, and they are developed with student input. Now, some of the not so good rules is a really long rule. That's like a sentence or 2 sentences long. It's too much and the students won't remember it. If it exists only in a handbook, this is not going to be helpful for when you need to enforce them because the students won't remember them. And this also goes hand in hand with mentioned only at the beginning of a class. At the beginning of a semester, you say it once and never talk about it again. The students are going to forget what it is. Finally, if you have some rules that are teacher mandated, you at least need to give them an explanation. A consequence roadmap is an essential part of a classroom because it gives you a level of objectivity when you're enforcing your rules. If your students know what the consequences are going to be before they break the rule, they're going to be less likely to break the rule and will understand if the consequence follows. A verbal warning should be your first thing, and this can be preceded by just a look to inform the student that they're doing something incorrectly. A student needs to step outside and then has a conversation with you. If they continue to act out, you can remove the student from the classroom, or if the problem keeps on going, you can contact the administration, contact the parents. Keep in mind that not always you're going to have the power to do all these things. So you should definitely contact your school and institute to see what the policies are in that school so that you know what the power you have in the classroom is. Finally, post this in your classroom so all your students know and are not surprised when they receive a consequence. Okay, a few things to remember. These are a couple good rules that I would strongly consider you using. Ways to get the teacher's attention, cell phones, bathroom, throwing things, tardiness, and these are really going to depend on the rules in your school and the environment in your school. You could be at a school where throwing things never happens, or you could be at a school where a throwing things rule is a really essential part of leading a good classroom. You should always try to keep your cool when you're enforcing rules. Losing your mind, yelling, flipping out, these are not going to be helpful for you. And finally, be fair, firm, and caring. Fairness is important so that your students understand that you're not subjecting one of them to more punishment. Firm because you need to enforce the rules nicely, and caring because you should be caring for your students. They should be an important part of why you're a teacher, and show them that they care so that they know you're not just being mean, you're trying to be a good teacher. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and be sure to come back for more.